eat in a garbage sandwich because we're going to talk about Brett Favre in about an hour. He's a real trash heap. But even, dare I say, bigger piece of trash than Brett Favre is Robert Sarver, the owner of the Suns. Received a 1-year suspension yesterday, barring him from all NBA and WNBA facilities, a $10 million fine, which was the max. After a lengthy investigation, found he repeatedly used demeaning language towards female employees, made inappropriate jokes in contact with employees, used the N-word at least 5 times while relaying statements that a person of color had made. Now, this is the largest punishment ever levied against an NBA owner, except for one. And of course, that one is Donald Sterling, who had his own scandal. Sterling was fined $2.5 million, not $10 million, but he was banned for life from the NBA and forced to sell the team. Now, why are they different? Why did Sterling have to sell his team and Sarver not? Well, number one, Sterling wasn't, exactly a great citizen before that whole thing, but it's not like Sarver was either. Sterling was sued multiple times for racial discrimination, for sexual harassment. His players were not fans. But where the NBA really took action, people will remember, is when TMZ published recordings of he and his girlfriend talking. That's where Donald Sterling, complained about his then girlfriend, who is of Black and Mexican descent, her associating herself with Black people, including an Instagram photo with Magic Johnson. A lot of racism in there. But with Sarver, you've got 70 people, more than 70 people, accusing him of racism, of sexual harassment, of all kinds of stuff. But no video, no audio.
Yep. Which is a game changer.
It is a game
in these things. It really is. As far as more public opinion, the league did a year-long investigation.
Yes.
Obviously, they found material to come down with the statement that they did and the fine and the punishment. But the fact that Sarver has since come out and said he basically disagreed with the punishment, man, he was open enough to let them look into the team, brash enough to say, I don't even agree with this. And likely, unless something else changes, he's back with the team in a year. And you think about that, owning the Mercury too, just all the different areas where he was demeaning to people, and you're reporting back to work to this organization. Man, that's tough.
Let me run a couple of quotes by you. You tell me at the end if these are bad or if these are, worth being tossed. Robert Sarver, in referencing a minority owner, his son, quote, "We just bought the team in June of 2004. My biggest concerns were ticket sales, sponsorship revenue, trying to sign some players, getting a winning record. What I really know is my biggest concern was the Heckman boys were blanking their way through the cheerleading team." Okay. Stories involving the minority owner's last name was Heckman, by the way. Stories about his own sex life, the minority owner, including one involving former Suns great Steve Nash. Quote, "Dick," meaning Dick Heckman, the minority owner, "was chasing everything that stale. And speaking of, someone said he left his DNA. He did leave his DNA, and I'm not going to say that out loud, by the way, but involving the locker room." I want to remind everybody, what I'm reading are actual Robert Sarver quotes, not alleged. And I'll explain that at the end. At one point, Sarver turned his gaze to someone in the crowd, apparently on their phone and not paying attention. Quote, "This guy's got a make-believe deal going on over here at blanking 3 a.m. You merging on a SPAC? Or are you lining up a hooker over there? What are you doing? It's a blank memorial service. Blanking idiot. Jesus. I'm going to guess his receptionist has small word I can't say out loud for her chest. But he has no idea. He's just drinking his wine." And finally, after some kind words about the minority owner's children, look at how good you guys all turned out. I never would have believed it, to be honest with you. I mean, you're married, you got kids, you got a family, you got a business, you're making money. It's a blanking miracle, really. Compared to where you guys started 17 years ago, it's unbelievable. I mean, we're lucky we still own the franchise. In today's environment, we would have lost it a long time ago. I'm reading this for a reason. This was a roast of a minority owner. It's caught on video. It's not alleged. It's actual quotes. Now, are those damning enough to cause him to sell, be forced to sell? I don't think so, but it also depends on who thinks it's egregious.
Sure.
But I think that it is a great foundation to use. You may not have audio of Robert Sarver using the N-word, but here's the thing. True or false, Jason, if Robert Sarver on audio was caught on audio or video using the N-word, do you think he'd be being forced to sell?
Yes.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah. And that's like, we go back, I mean, again, not to trivialize or make fun of any of this stuff.
Right.
But Ray Rice on video. What do you think abuse looks like?
Right.
It's not made up.
No.
So then you see it on video. I used to say this years ago as another example when Roberto Alomar spit on the umpire. Awful, but we saw it.
Yes.
Just despicable.
Yes.
Well, again, what do you think that looks like? But now we can see it or hear it. It changes the whole dynamic.
Here's the bottom line. The NBA's got to force him. Now, it's easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, the NBA works for Robert Sarver and his friends that own basketball teams, their franchises. You can't just say, you got to do this, and then you do it, because guess what? Robert Sarver, like most of these guys, also has an army of lawyers. They're very litigious. They'll go after it. It's not going to be easy. But it is incredibly, the NBA already is walking a tightrope with its human rights claims while basketballs are being sown by people in China that certainly aren't getting great benefits, let's put it that way. Them coming out about Hong Kong versus China and that whole thing, LeBron James, the shoe companies now saddling up to betting companies and all that stuff. The NBA already does a really good dance with trying to be a thought leader, a tastemaker when it comes to human rights, to helping to push and raise awareness for folks of color and other organizations that need that push. And good for them. But it's a little bit hypocritical when you have any other person, dancer, player, coach, GM, minority owner, and by minority owner, I mean an owner that is not the majority owner, not an owner that's a person of color, since we're in the context on the conversation. They're all fired. They're done. But because Robert Sarver owns the team, a guy who in front of employees, according to 4 former employees, said, quote, he needs to wear Magnum or extra large condoms. Former employees said he asked players about their sex lives, the sexual prowess of their significant others. Quote, women have very little value. Women are possessions. And I think we're nowhere close to where they think men are. This is what's gross about this. Robert Sarver will be forced to sell the Phoenix Suns. I'm telling you, on September 14th, right now, he's going to be forced to sell the Suns. Because the players, of whom many are of color, who shouldn't have to be the ones. Right. They should not have to be the ones to stand up and go, this is wrong, and we feel like they shouldn't have to do that, but they're gonna. Right.
Well, and a very outspoken player like that is Chris Paul.
Chris Paul
was there with the Clippers. Now he's here with
the Suns.
Yeah.
Talking about the former head of the Players Association.
Right. And it's sometimes it's more difficult when it's like in your own backyard, but it's also more powerful when it's in your own backyard.
The Suns have a great thing going on the floor. Yeah. They have a great thing going. They're historically a crap team with a few exceptions, most notably early 90s, Barkley and Nash and all those guys.
And now
they have a good thing going despite Robert Sarver.
Right.
This is an opportunity. I guarantee you Suns fans would be all over. Please make him sell the team, much like Snyder in Washington.
Yeah.
But this is very NFL-esque of the NBA.
Oh, yeah. And there's so many angles here because, to your point, where, one of the credit marks, I guess, for Adam Silver, he came right into the league at a very difficult time. It was during Sterling. Yes. He was aggressive, helped, get this moving through and get Sterling out of the league.
Yes.
I think a lot of people thought, wow, Stern would have probably done it differently. Good for Silver. Well, we're in this spot again. And a lot of times he's there to, I don't know, say protect the owners, but serve for the owner,
Sure.
And I'm guessing other owners aren't like, hey, let's get him out of here because now you're going to start looking at all of our affairs. Like,
that's correct.
I don't want to say what's the difference between this and Mark Cuban, but what is the difference between this and Mark Cuban and Dallas?
I think so people don't grab onto that statement out of context. I would say this, Jason. There are differences between this and Mark Cuban. However, there's not necessarily differences in egregiousness between them. They're different things, but they're also some of the same. And some are more egregious in Dallas and some are more egregious in Phoenix. the players are going to have to throw in their uniforms down. They're going to have to
Right.
start making noise. The Players Association is going to have to start getting involved. Then you're going to see sponsors and networks.
That's when it does it.
Of
Follow the
course
money.
it will.
Yeah.
So we'll continue this in a second.
Yeah.
Was this a harsh enough penalty, and how can the NBA bail themselves out of this whole thing? We'll get into it after this.